I moved into a new apartment building last year, a 10-story complex in a quiet part of the city. It wasn't fancy, but it was affordable and, most importantly, quiet. Too quiet, actually. The kind of quiet that feels deliberate. I live on the 6th floor. My neighbor across the hall, Sarah, was friendly and chatty, always smiling, always helpful. But there was one thing she told me the day I moved in that felt off. "Just ignore apartment 5B, she said casually. "The guy who lives there keeps to himself. Doesn't cause trouble, but yeah, just ignore him." I laughed it off at first. But then I noticed something strange. Every time I passed the 5th floor in the elevator, the button for 5B was already lit, like someone had just called it. Even at 2 a.m., and the hallway camera always seemed to glitch only near 5B. The lights outside that door flickered constantly. Once, I swear, I saw a shape standing just inside the peephole, unmoving, watching. I asked Sarah more about him. She hesitated. "Honestly, I don't know if anyone actually lives there anymore." But someone did. I started hearing noises, not the usual apartment stuff, not footsteps or TV sounds, more like dragging, like something heavy being slowly pulled across a tile floor. Sometimes a muffled voice, always too low to understand, but rhythmic, like a chant, repeating over and over. One night I got back late from work, stepped out of the elevator onto the 5th floor, and saw his door, slightly open, just a crack. There was a horrible smell, metallic, rotting, mixed with something chemical. I should have gone straight up to my floor, but I didn't. I stood there, staring at the gap in the door like it had eyes. Then I heard it. A whisper. Not from inside. From behind me. "Don't look at him." It was Sarah. She was standing at the top of the stairwell. She looked different, pale, her eyes wide. I asked what she meant. She didn't answer. She just turned around and walked back up. The door to 5B slammed shut, loud, final. After that, everything got worse. I started waking up with scratches on my legs, thin and shallow like fingernails. Once I found a key on my kitchen counter that didn't belong to anything in my apartment. It was old, rusted, labeled 5B. I threw it out. The next morning, it was back on my nightstand. I asked the building manager if anyone had complained about 5B. He looked at me like I'd spoken a different language. "There is no 5B, he said. "It was sealed after the explosion." I laughed nervously, but he was serious. 6 years ago, gas leak, nobody made it out. Confused, I insisted I'd walked past that door every single day. He didn't argue. He just offered to walk me there. We took the stairs. The 5th floor ended at a wall. No hallway, no lights, just faded, fire-scarred drywall, like the building had given up on remembering what was once there. I checked the elevator again. The button was gone. Where 5B should have been was nothing. That night I stayed awake. But at 3:17 a.m., I smelled smoke. It wasn't strong, more like the memory of it. Then I heard it. 3 knocks. Not on the door. From inside the walls. I stepped to the hallway. There was a door. A door that hadn't been there for days. Apartment 5B. The numbers were scorched, the wood blistered, leaking faint heat. And through the cracked door, a man was standing. Eyes sunken, skin blistered and blackened. He didn't speak. He just held out a hand. In it, the rusted key I'd thrown away. He didn't have to say anything. I already knew where it opened. It was just past midnight when I stepped out of my friend's apartment. The streets were nearly empty, not silent, but dead enough to feel exposed. I had stayed way too long, missed my usual bus, and now I was stuck with one option. The late-night route from the main stop 3 blocks away. No rides available, and my phone was down to 6%. As I walked toward the intersection, I saw someone already waiting at the bus stop. He stood under the flickering streetlight, hooded sweatshirt, face turned away, completely still, just standing there. I slowed a little, just instinctively. Something about the way he stood. It was too stiff, like he wasn't tired or cold or impatient, just planted there. I took a seat on the bench, leaving a couple of feet between us. I avoided eye contact, just pulled out my phone and pretended to scroll. He didn't move, didn't glance, didn't even check the schedule. No headphones, no phone, no shifting his weight. Nothing. After a minute, I couldn't help it. I glanced sideways. He was looking at me, not just glancing, staring. His face was pale, shadowed by the hood, but his eyes were fixed, wide open, and he didn't blink. I looked away. Maybe he was just weird, or high. Still, I slid a few inches further down the bench. I checked the transit app. The bus was delayed, 17 more minutes. Great. The man was now whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but it was rhythmic, almost like he was repeating something under his breath. A chant, maybe. But there was no emotion in it, just steady, quiet repetition. Then, suddenly, he stood. Not slowly, just one smooth, jerking motion. He turned and walked toward the street, disappearing behind the shelter. I didn't know if he left or not, but I wasn't going to sit there and wait to find out. I crossed the street and headed into a 24-hour convenience store on the corner, just to breathe, just to get under some light. The clerk barely looked up. I paced the snack aisle, pretending to browse. Then I saw him, reflected in the freezer glass. He was across the street again, standing just outside the bus stop. Same position. But now, he was looking into the store. He wasn't blinking. I left the store and turned left, down a residential block. Streetlights were dimmer here, older. I didn't want to head home. I just wanted distance. My phone was at 2%. I heard footsteps behind me. Soft, but fast. I turned quickly. Nothing. Then I looked up. There he was, standing on the other side of the street. No sound, no motion, like he just appeared there. And then he smiled. Not wide, just a twitch at the corner of his mouth. A knowing kind of grin. I started walking faster. I turned the next corner and buzzed myself into the first apartment building I could see. I didn't live there. I just needed somewhere to hide. The hallway was dim and smelled like cleaning chemicals and damp walls. I crouched in the stairwell trying to stay quiet, tried to breathe. My phone finally died in my hand. A minute passed, then 2. Then, the door at the bottom clicked open. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming up the stairs. I held my breath. I peeked through the gap between the steps. His shoes, black, worn, moving up one step at a time. Then I saw his hands, pale, fingers twitching slightly as he climbed. No urgency, just confidence. I backed up slowly, my heart hammering in my ears. I reached the second floor, pushed open the hallway door, and ducked into a laundry room. Lights off. I crouched between 2 machines and prayed he didn't hear the door. Silence. Then, a shadow crossed the glass window of the laundry door. He was right outside. I waited and waited. The shadow never moved again. After what felt like forever, I slowly opened the door. The hallway was empty, the stairwell silent. I slipped out, bolted down the stairs, and ran all the way home. I never saw him again. But sometimes, when I pass a bus stop at night, I swear I see someone out of the corner of my eye, standing too still, too quiet, watching. It was supposed to be a regular sleepover. Just three of us, me, Sam, and Jay, at Sam's place while his parents were away for the weekend. We'd done this before. Ordered junk food, played horror games, watched cursed videos we found online. Just typical dumb late-night stuff. Around 1 a.m., Jay suggested we try that game he heard about on a subreddit. You're supposed to say a name 3 times, knock on a mirror, and then ask a question. We all laughed. It sounded like a made-up version of Bloody Mary. But of course, we did it anyway. Jay pulled up a screenshot of the post. It was called the Listener Game. The instructions were oddly specific. The room must be dark except for one candle. Everyone has to sit facing a mirror. Say the phrase, "We open the line." Knock on the mirror once for each player. Then ask a question, but never say your name. We set up everything in Sam's upstairs bathroom, the only one with a wide mirror. It felt dumb, but also just creepy enough to be fun. We turned off the lights, lit the candle, and sat on the cold tile floor. Jay was the first to speak. "We opened the line," he said softly. He knocked 3 times, one for each of us. Then he asked, "Is anyone here with us?" For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the flame flickered hard to the left. Just once. No draft, no windows open. We all noticed. Sam chuckled nervously. "Guess that's a yes." Jay smiled. "Your turn." Sam went next. Same knock. Same words. He asked, "What's your name?" This time the flame danced again, then bent sharply forward. We all looked at each other. "I bet it's Jay messing with the air," I said. Jay held his hands up. I didn't do anything. Then it was my turn. I hesitated, just for a second. Then I knocked and asked, "Do you want to hurt us?" Silence. The flame didn't move, but behind us, in the hallway, we all heard it. A soft knock. We jumped to our feet. Sam opened the bathroom door, stepped into the hallway. Nothing there. We checked every room, then the basement, then the backyard. Nothing. We assumed it was just noise from the pipes or the walls. The house was old. We laughed it off and went back to the living room. Jay said he was going to use the downstairs bathroom. 10 minutes passed. No sound. Sam called out. No reply. He went to check. I stayed on the couch, candle still lit on the coffee table. Footsteps came down the stairs, but only one set. Jay walked into the room, except something felt wrong. His hoodie was on inside out. His voice was slower. His eyes didn't quite meet mine. "Where's Sam?" I asked. He paused, then smiled. "He'll be back," he said. "But it's your turn now." My stomach dropped. Something wasn't right. Jay sat on the floor beside the candle. "I reset the game," he said. "You have to ask a new question." "I'm not doing it," I told him. "Where's Sam?" He didn't answer. He just looked at the mirror, then at me, then at the mirror again. So I grabbed my phone and went upstairs. The bathroom door was shut. I knocked. No answer. I opened it. Empty. But the mirror was fogged. And 3 handprints were pressed against the glass. I ran back downstairs. The living room was empty. Jay was gone. No sound, no movement. The candle was still burning, low and trembling, like it was about to die. I called out for Sam, then for Jay again. Nothing. The whole house felt different now. Colder. Still, but not quiet. There was this pressure, like the air had weight. Like something was holding its breath all around me. Then, knock, software. Not at the door, not on the walls. 3 slow knocks, coming from upstairs. I turned, frozen in place, listening as the creaking started. Footsteps, heavy ones, but slow, descending the stairs. I should have run, but I didn't. I backed toward the kitchen, grabbed a flashlight from the drawer. Shaking. I aimed the beam at the stairway. No one. Just the sound of something retreating. Back up. Like it wanted me to follow. I took one shaky step forward. Then another. I crept up to the bathroom door where it all started. It was slightly open now. I pushed it. The room was pitch dark, candles snuffed out. But the mirror was lit, somehow. It was glowing faintly, like a screen. And there, pressed into the fogged glass, 3 full handprints. But this time, they weren't the same size. One large, one medium, and one was the size of my hand. A new phrase had been scratched into the steam. Your turn. I slammed the door and ran out of the house. Didn't even grab my stuff. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. And now, every mirror I pass, sometimes I see fog appear for no reason. Sometimes I hear a knock. 3 slow taps. Sometimes, I think I see a shape behind me that vanishes when I turn. And sometimes I think I never left that house at all.